Yeah, and I'm from Wisconsin, Madison. The brochure just says I'm from somewhere else, just so everyone knows. So affiliation's correct. So when we do 4D flow MRI, we have to deal with different problems depending on where in the body we're scanning. One of the biggest ones in the brain is the small vessels and how tortuous they are. And also, if you can get these great angiograms, then we have to post-process them, which takes quite a long time. So our group has previously worked on this problem, developing tools to automate this process. This is showing the tool that we currently have in line. The ADRC, which is the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center, has processed hundreds of cases with this. It completes a lot of automatic segmentation, quantification. And my goal for this work is to really simplify this and add in this 3D segmentation and ability to kind of make it a lot easier for users to kind of navigate as well as quantify quickly. And so what we did is we created an interactive 4D flow processing tool in MATLAB. Some of the improvements from the previous work are switching the angiogram generation. So before it was a Gaussian-based, and now we have an iterative-based method. The centerline generation is much faster and a lot smoother. We have these vessel selection is switched from a 2D to a 3D system. The automatic background phase correction was presented earlier by Grant, and he set me up really well, so thank you, Grant, for that. Some of the visualizations you'll see later when I show a demo of the tool, and then really cutting down on the computer memory because these data sets are huge, and I think that's a problem we have to deal with as well. So when we did this comparison, we compared the old tool and the new tool. We did it with 2 individuals, and then as well on a 16 gig machine and a 32 gig RAM machine. So some of the things that I'll present to you today too are like the ease of selecting vessels, how repeatable it was, and then also like the time analysis for this to be completed. So what we had is 10 cranial scans with healthy controls. We did this on a 3T system. We used 4D flow MRI with PC Viper, and then we reconstructed those into 20 cardiac phases with temporal view sharing. We analyzed 13 different vessel locations, so this was typical with our ADRC protocol to look at arterial and venous systems. And then here are some of the scan parameters that we use, so isotropic spatial resolution of 0.68, and about a scan, which we use pretty much clinically, or 7 minutes or so. So this is just showing our angiograms that we can create, just localizing all the vessels that we're looking at. So on the arterial side, we have the PCA, the posterior cerebral arteries, as well as the ICA, where we do 2 planes, lower and higher, both on left and right sides. The venous side, we have the straight sinus, superior sagittal, and the transverse sinus left, right. And then we also have the basilar artery in there as well. So getting into kind of some of the results that we got. On the top, that's how we previously select our vessels. On the bottom is this new vasculature centerline generation we automatically create. So we create the angiogram, we get all the vessel centerlines automatically. In the top one, you have to scroll through the images, find your spatial location, click a point, and then hope that that point's really close to your vessel and that it's the right one you want to look at. So the first thing we looked at is missed vessels and ease of selection. So we reduced that from 16% to 3.8%. And these vessels were primarily seen in short, small sections, so the MCA and PCAs were pretty difficult to get. And the transverse sinus was really allowed by the different automation of the angiograms because they were really missing kind of the venous returns. So in a lot of cases, we thought there was just a single transverse coming back, when in reality there was 2 if you looked at the magnitude images. And so for the generation, we really cut down on time from 48 seconds to 13. And then the big one is processing time. So per plane, it took about a minute, so a little bit over a minute in the old method, and then we cut it down to 0.3 or 0.4 minutes per plane, which really streamlines the processing of all these cases. So I think we've all been here with our different size machines. I'm sitting right in the middle, so I sit there wondering, did it break, or am I, making some progress here? So that's where I was, and now I'm down here off and running very quickly, and I hope that other people can be off and running quickly with other machines. As Grant mentioned, we really reduced the size of data that your computer needs to hold at one point. So before it was around like 10 gigs, and now it's down to like 1 gig that it needs to hold in memory. And we can do this all pre-processing before we even hand someone the tool. So for clinicians, I think it's going to be great, just packaging all the data that they want to look at to them, and then they don't have to sit around forever. So now what I'm going to do is walk you through the tool being used. So this is me just running the tool, not with this mouse, but earlier when I recorded it. So you have all the typical 3D rotations. These are the center lines that I mentioned, and they're encoded with flow coloration. Right now, you can change the angiograms, so it's kind of, you can still see it, but you can make it more transparent or opaque. Those are automated vessel set-ins, so you can look at different locations. And to analyze, you click a point and then move it. So it gives you a really nice way to look at the pulsatility as well as the segmentation you're completing and all the different vessels. We have quantitative parameters built into here, so you can do area, whatever really you want to compute. This is easy. If you want to add additional things, you just plug in your code and it's ready to go. And what's showing here on the pulsatility, we have 5 different waveforms, so it's 2 before and 2 after to make sure you're in a stable location. Then what I found was that doing this analysis in the cranial can be very tiresome and hard to actually select your vessel just because they're so densely, we're getting too good with our angiograms, I guess. And so I did a segmentation with that to remove some of the smaller vessels and based on spatial location so you can really zoom in on some of these larger ones or problematic areas. So here now I'm just zooming in onto the ICA and just going to zoom in and show that you can kind of, if you want to remove in a more local section, you can do that, and then you can just rotate around and it will show you kind of what your vessel looks like. And the nice thing about it too is you get this quick way of looking if your planes are tangent or not. And so again, all this is just automatically, so when you get the case, you can do all this right away. Some other things we do is when we save this data, it saves a snapshot of the left screen and the right screen and all the data that you're looking at, a timestamp of it, the label of what you're looking at. So when you go back years or you have a student who's just doing their own thing, you can really understand what has happened. And if you want to reset it, then you just click reset and it should get you back to where you started. And so in conclusion, we developed this highly repeatable tool. We essentially kept the old tool to the new tool was about 2% difference in flow quantification between them. The previous one was developed with Eric Straubing and shown repeatable, and there's a paper published on that. The vessel visibility and selection was improved, as well as the functionality, and the processing times were drastically decreased, while memory was also decreased. And we really think this high, repeatable, and robust tool can help in the understanding of our diseases. And we have an ADRC who processes hundreds and hundreds of cases, so I think it's going to really lower the amount of manpower we need processing all these cases. In the future, we want to do other clinical scans, so if you have any data that you're interested, you can come and talk to me and I can try throwing it into the tool to see what I can get. So yeah, thank you for your time. I'd like to thank everyone who's helped, and any questions I can